Welcome to the Cornerstone Gundog Academy podcast. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm really excited about this episode because what we're going to be talking about is something that can really help you change the trajectory of the training journey you're on, where your dog ends up. It's going to be an amazing episode, and I'm excited about the stories I get to tell you and really everything. So that said, Cornerstone Gundog Academy podcast is brought to you by Cornerstone Gundog Academy, where you can use our proven training system to develop a calm, confident, and capable retriever that wants to please you. Cornerstone Gundog Academy podcast is also brought to you by Retriever Training Supply, and you can build unforgettable moments with your retriever using gear purchased at Retriever Training Supply. So I've titled this podcast episode, Creatures of Habit. And a member has recently texted me this, and I thought it was so cool. It was worth doing a podcast. It's actually, I'll tell you the story real quick. This is actually what will lead us into what I'm going to teach you. But I was texting with him, and first of all, I just want to shout him out. His name is Marco, and he is absolutely crushing it with his dog, Ruby. I've been helping him a little bit as they're navigating the journey and the waters of fetch, hold, and release. Ruby was having some trouble with dropping, but Marco has stayed with it. He's stayed true to the program, and he is now making really good progress with his pup. So I'm really proud of Marco, and just want to shout him out for sticking with it, staying calm, staying collected, and really making it happen with his dog. And really, that's all Cornerstone members. They get it done. They take their time. They stay true to the process, to the system, and the system produces the result, and they do the work to get there. But we were texting, and I had a call with him the other day, and we were chatting, and he was showing me his dog. I was watching a little video of his dog work, and he was doing, Ruby was doing good. But I had told him, he asked how the day was going, if it was cold. I was like, man, it is cold. I was actually deer hunting this morning, and I either hit or missed a very large buck. And so I was a little distraught about it, honestly. And so actually, I had missed it a couple of times. It was 700 yards, so a little bit further than what I normally shoot. And I thought I'd hit it based on how it moved, but I went out there, couldn't find anything. And so I was just distraught. And he's like, don't worry about it. If he missed, he'll come back out. And sure enough, so I go back out, and that evening I'm just watching and just enjoying time out in God's creation. And it's really just a beautiful sunset, just absolutely stunning. Watching a few deer out there, and it was just so pretty, and just, you really could feel God's presence there, just being nice and relaxed. But this buck, I couldn't believe it, comes back out. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking about shooting it. At this point now, I'm like, okay, he's clearly not hurt, so I totally missed the deer. And so I'm watching him, and then I ended up taking him, and I sent Marco a picture. It said, man, thank you for the encouragement. And, it's just amazing. And that he came back out. I couldn't believe it. He said, creatures of habit. And then that got me thinking. I was like, creatures of habit. For us in the dog training, we're creatures of habit, and our dogs are creatures of habit as well. And so if you're not careful as you go down this journey, you will create your own habits, right? We always talk about shaping and molding our dogs. We want to mold and shape their habits into what we want. But we also have to think about ourselves. Sometimes our habits, we get into some bad habits that don't serve us well in training. So a lot of times if you're going down the path and you're training your dog and you're getting results that you're not looking for, one of the things that starts to rise is our frustration level. We start to get frustrated. We start to think, what's wrong? Why is this not working? And we start asking all of these questions, which is good. We should be asking questions. We should be wondering, why is this happening? But if we're not careful, the frustration will rise, and we will kind of stay in the same habit. We'll just expect a different result, but not doing something different to get a different result. And so that's why I've titled this podcast, Creatures of Habit, courtesy of Marco. He told me that, and I started thinking about it. And I said, man, if we're not careful, we can stay in the same habits and get the same results and end up with the same dog a year from now. If you don't do something different, if you don't make a change, if you don't come at things from a different angle, it's going to be really hard to expect different results from your dog. And so as you're on this dog training journey, my encouragement for you in this episode is, let's evaluate, what are our habits? Are we training consistently? Are we inconsistent? Are we following a plan? If you're listening to this podcast and you're not a Cornerstone member, are you following a plan or a process? In our case at Cornerstone, we have a system that if you follow it, the process, if you just follow the videos. That's what we say, buy now, follow the videos, and enjoy your dog. That follow the videos is extremely important. If you do X and you actually implement what you learn, then you can have that outcome of enjoying your dog and a dog that makes you proud in the field and home. But are you following a plan? Whether it's ours or another plan out there, are you following something and are you staying consistent with your dog? So it's kind of one of the first things. And then if you're following that and as you're going down the path, are you actually following it? Or do you think you're following it, right? Do you have someone there to help you look over your shoulder and say, hey, maybe you're doing this wrong? And in our case, in Cornerstone, that's the community. You can post a video, you can ask questions, and I also just got to shout people out right now because I see people post they're having a challenge on XYZ, and I see some of the typically before I can ever get to it, we've had multiple veteran members go in there and just say some amazing advice. I'm like, there's nothing for me to add to that because that's really good. But you need to have people in your corner too, not just a process, but you need to have people in your corner there that are rallying around you, helping you be successful and not dogging you, but just helping you see some things, right? They're going to help you get to where you need to go. And that's going to help you also make sure you're not staying in those habits, right? So the first thing is, are you following a process? Are you following a plan? Second thing is, are you doing it right? Because if you're not careful, it's easy to do it wrong. And the third thing is, are you adapting? Okay, if you're going down, you've checked all those boxes and yes, everything is on track, but you're still not getting results. Are you going to allow frustration, just blame the dog? Or are you going to take responsibility and say, okay, this isn't working right now, so what are some other angles that I can try this at? And honestly, some of the best dog trainers, and this is pro trainers and amateur trainers, anybody, some of the best dog trainers are people that can think outside the box and try something a little bit different. And oftentimes it doesn't have to be a big difference. I'll give you an example of one thing that Marco and I worked on together. Is a very, very subtle change. And Ruby was going out. This was on our first session. Ruby was going out and she was just drop it right at the feet. And I was like, Marco, let's try this. I want you to step in front when your dog runs out. When you send the dog, as the dog's on the way to the bumper, I want you to take about 5 yards steps toward the dog. The dog doesn't see you do this. I just want you to do that. Then when the dog is on the way back, I just want you to slowly walk backwards. Then sit down and then take the bumper. And from that minute forward, Ruby has put the bumper in his hands every single time. That's how subtle of a change. We're not talking about jumping ship and going with a totally different method. We're talking about a very subtle change, a very small detail. And when I say a small detail, sometimes you're going to try things. I'm encouraging you to experiment. You may try things and it may not work. It may go worse, but it's okay to try, because when you're getting, after you've done what you've done, you've checked, you've got advice, hey, are we in the right direction? Then you try something different. And if it doesn't work, what do? Well, you try it from another angle, and you try it from another angle. And typically after a few times, you're going to figure this out. So my encouragement for you is, don't be a creature of habit. Don't just stay in the same rut and then just put on blame on the dog or blame somebody else. Take responsibility, take ownership. If you want to see your dog change, it's up to you. And you have the power to do it. You don't need to, question too much. You just need to get out there, train, be consistent, and you'll figure it out. And then sometimes it isn't that you need to try a different angle. It's just that you need to just keep doing what you're doing and let it work out. Depending on the number of reps, one of the things we teach here at Cornerstone, you probably hear me talk about in the podcast, is the different layers of learning, the different levels, right? The different stages that the dog is at in the learning process. You've got acquisition, you've got fluency, you've got generalization, and then you've got maintenance. Depending on what stage of learning your dog is at, can determine how you respond. If you're in the acquisition stage, it's too early to really be trying too much new things, right? But if you've got to where your dog is fluent, and you're getting inconsistent results, that might be where you need to shift. Or if you're in the acquisition stage and what you start out with isn't working at all and the dog's not even getting it, then maybe at that point you can consider trying a different angle. But that's kind of what we've got to think. We got to evaluate ourselves, because here's the deal. If you do the right things, your dog will learn if you handle it right. And that's the key, making sure that you handle it right, making sure that you're making the changes you need. So as you're training your dog, don't become a creature of habit to where you become so rooted, so used to the just general rut that you're in that you're not willing to change. If you're willing to make a change, then you can see some results. So how do you make a change? How can we make a shift to see our dogs be more successful? First things first, is the change close or is it off the wall? Depending on the situation, sometimes I'm going to do some off the wall stuff. Sometimes I'm not going to do some off the wall stuff. And that really just depends. Like in the case of Marco and the story I just shared with you there, that's not really off the wall. That's just a very subtle shift. An off the wall thing is really just totally revamping and thinking what you're doing and playing with the dog. And I've done this before. I had a dog that was giving me some trouble on delivery. And this is something that is a little off the walls, and it's really dangerous if it doesn't go well, not for the dog's health or safety, just for the end result that I'm looking for. But I just started handing the bumper to the dog. I would just throw it, and then I would go on a walk, and I would let the dog just carry the bumper everywhere I go. Instead of asking the dog to come back to me, I would hand the dog the bumper, or I'd throw it on the ground, let it pick it up, and I flipped the tables totally on the dog. Basically, the dog was like, "What's up? This isn't what we're used to." I would just walk out there, hand the dog the bumper, throw it on the ground, and then I would just walk and then let the dog come with me and not ask the dog for the bumper back. And then every now and then I would share the bumper with the dog, meaning I would just pet the dog. That was my dad. He taught me that. He said, share the bumper with the dog. That's the concept. Share the bumper. Don't be taking the bumper, share the bumper. And I saw this dog turn around and we started getting some results. But that's one of those things, if the dog wants to go play too much or something and you hand it off, that could have went really south really quick. But in this case, it didn't. Now, the dog did play a little bit, but it wasn't enough that it was going to be like a major problem. Or the dog could have just laid down and started chewing the bumper, and that's not what we want either. So no matter what, don't be a creature of habit, because we are creatures of habit. So when you're training, you have to deliberately choose to make a decision. And in the case of this buck where I missed it a couple of times at 700 yards, it didn't really know what happened, but its habit got the best of it because it came back out the next that evening, the very evening, and it lost its life because of that. And now I've got a lot of meat in the freezer and I'm pretty stoked about it. But in our case, let's make sure we're not shipwrecking ourselves by becoming a creature of habit. Let's make sure we're making changes, and let's see if we can adapt and work with our dogs to get them to where we want them to go. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope it has spurred some things. Really, that was my goal of this episode of the Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy podcast, is to really get you thinking. And as I close this, here's what I would say. To evaluate where you're at. Let's look at the dog. Let's think about what are some different things that we can do. And when I say that, you can think about it ahead of time. You don't have to do anything in the moment. Another good option is to think of some different ideas and maybe ask for some feedback from your community, your local community. Get some help there. Say, hey, I'm thinking about trying this. What do y'all think? And just see what they say. If it's a bad idea, I think they'll tell you. Because there are some things you can do that are bad ideas, right? But it's okay to try things. It's okay to ask for help, and just don't stay as a creature of habit. And then you will see improvement. Be sure to go from different angles, and then you'll also help your dog get out of the rut that it's in and improve its learning ability. So hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you are on a training journey, if you're training a dog or you're getting a puppy, and you don't know what to do or where to start, Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy is the place for you to start. We've helped thousands of people on the journey of training their dogs, and we've helped them build confidence. We've helped them take their dog from zero training to fully trained, and we've helped everybody in a lot of different ways in between, from maybe someone wanting a part-trained dog, whatever it is. We can help you with our step-by-step process and system. And that's what we offer. This isn't just a cookie cutter thing. I wouldn't even call Cornerstone a program. This is a proven system that works. If you follow the videos and you implement what is in the videos and you do exactly what's there, and you take advantage of everything that we offer, from community to support to the videos to the training gear and everything that is there, I am confident that you will go from where you're at to a much better place with your dog. And if you really get after it, you can even end up with an amazing retriever that is just one that people are blown away by. But if you're in that place, and again, you don't know where to go, look, just start with Cornerstone. Buy access to the course, the step-by-step courses, follow the videos, and enjoy your dog. We'll help you know where to start, what to do next, and how to solve problems with your dog. So stop guessing. Don't put it off any longer. If you want a different result, it's the same thing. Don't be a creature of habit. Don't put it off. Don't wait. The longer you wait is the longer it's going to take to get to where you want to go. So if you're on the fence or you've been thinking about it, or maybe you're exploring programs right now, or you're exploring your options to learn to train, I would encourage you to check out Cornerstone. There's a lot of options out there. I personally believe that we have the best thing going, and I'm really confident that, honestly, when you start looking at it apples to apples, and when you start getting into what Cornerstone actually offers, if you want the best thing out there, purchase Cornerstone, and we will help you along the way, and we will support you. We'll help you be successful with training your retriever to be the dog that you want in your blind. So that is it for this episode, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.